We're doing something a bit different today. Apologies if it's loud or if you can't hear me at all. I'm not sure because I'm outside and it is quite windy out, but it feels too nice out to not be outside right now. So I brought my book with me. I actually just finished Black Spire, which was the second wheel book for this month. I have had Mask of Fear, what is it? Reign of the Empire Mask of Fear for about a week and a half now. It came out on February 25th and it was delivered same day, and then I started it and was like, wait, I need to do the book wheel stuff. And then we rolled a book that had another book before it, so I had to read 2 books before I could get to this. It was a whole thing, but I'm starting it right now, and I thought that it might be fun to do a little reading vlog. I haven't attempted to do one of these before. Since this is a brand new book, I thought it would be interesting to take you guys along for the journey and see what my first thoughts are, with no spoilers out about this book. I have been avoiding literally every post I've been able to find about it since it's come out, and I'm so excited to jump into this. From what I understand, it's about Bail and Mon and a little bit of Saw, which is right up my alley. Bail and Mon are some of my favorite Star Wars characters. The goal for today is to get like upwards of 100 pages into this. I think I can really blast through it. It's not that long, and the margins and font size are really forgiving, so I have a good feeling about this, both in content and my ability to get through it quickly. So let's get down to business and see how long I can sit out here without getting too cold. Please forgive the god-awful angle and my attire. Today's just like a lounge set pajama kind of day, and these are the comfiest pants that I own, so that's what we're gonna do. One thing that I immediately noticed when I opened this book is, one, this page is so pretty. I love when they put a little motif inside of the Star Wars logo. Second, this book is written by Alexander Freed, who also wrote the Rogue One novelization, one of my favorite Star Wars books of all time, and the reason that I'm reading all of these books to begin with. Let's start with part 1, Dawn. Hello. I had to move inside because it was getting way too windy and I was getting very cold. I'm gonna say a little less than 100 pages in. I can already tell that this book is going to be very sad, but I'm making it through it pretty quickly. There was a part in, gosh, I don't even know what chapter it is, maybe chapter 5, where Mon and Bail are at a charity event, and when Mon sees Bail, she's like, oh, this guy. And then there's a part that describes her as finding him borderline insufferable, and that made me laugh so hard. I've always imagined Bail and Mon being like really close friends, and for this book to confirm that they are friends, but she finds him a little bit like too loud is just very funny to me. And like right after that, she goes to get her husband, is like, hey, go tell Bail to calm down, he's being way too loud right now. I love seeing these 2 characters interact. The Saw parts are stressing me out, but I've only had like 2 of them so far, so we'll see how that ends up. But I have now relocated to the couch and we are going to continue to read. don't know that I have words to properly express this. I just finished it. Oh my goodness. First of all, I don't know if you can tell, I was reading outside this morning, and one, it's freezing. Two, it's just finished raining and it's got like that post-rain humidity, and a lot of my pages are very ruined now. So that's fun. If I can give an overview, this book was very well written, intriguing, exciting, terrifying. The first thing that I feel like I have to say about this is that if you are not in the current headspace of being able to read about a fascist government slowly taking more and more powers away from the overarching government, the Senate, the people, maybe skip this one or take your time with it, because this is really heavy. I really wish this book wasn't as relevant as it is. This book was very scary in the way that there were a lot of parallels to what we are currently living through in the US, at least. And that was, I'm not gonna say unwanted, because it's, I think, something that people need to understand, and sometimes getting it in this fictional way will help people better grasp what's going on. The escapism that I usually use Star Wars for, she's not in this one. She's skipped out on this one for sure. That being said, I thought this book was beautiful. I love Mon and Bale. This book has turned me from being a Saw hater to a Saw neutralist, which is a lot. I weep for Mon Mothma every day. She did so much for the Star Wars universe in this period of time, and I feel like she never really gets the recognition that she deserves. I just love her so deeply, and what she goes through in this book is just, I mean, it's horrendous. It's insane, actually. I'm gonna keep this vague because I don't really want to spoil anything. You should definitely pick up this book if you have a chance. I feel like if you're an audiobook person, I'm sure the audiobook for this would be fantastic, because there is a lot of jumping around and switching narratives. So that might help a little bit. I'm definitely going to go back and pick up the audiobook for this, because I feel like there was a lot of stuff that my brain just fully didn't grasp onto that I'll be able to revisit in audio form. I love you, Bail Organa. I love you, Mon. Saw was also there. The new characters that we were introduced to in this book, I think, were also very fascinating. I wouldn't say that they were my favorite part of the book, but they definitely didn't hinder it at all. Around chapter 40 is when everything kind of comes to fruition. All of the setup to this book really starts going down. Some things happened to Mon that had me like actually sobbing. I do feel like I have to read one quote if I can find it in here really quickly, because it was just so beautiful and well written. So skip forward maybe 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this, but this is towards the end of the book. We get a lot in this book about Bail and his relationship with the Jedi. He was really friendly with them. Obviously he was really close with Padme and with Obi-Wan, and just as a whole he seemed to be a very deep supporter and a friend of the Jedi. And we get that several times throughout this book, him talking about part of him wanting to be a Jedi when he was younger, and him wanting to try to find the Jedi now that they're gone. The book starts off with him at this kind of like mourning ceremony for the Jedi, and I want to read you this little quote here, because this like stopped me in my tracks when I read it this morning. This is on page 451. Bail loved the Jedi. If he was haunted by them, it's because he cried out to their ghosts, because he strived to emulate their clarity and their endurance, their faith that one brave soul guided by the Force could set the galaxy right. It was the wish of a child, carried with him since childhood, and it would shackle him forever if he didn't act. I don't know, it like shook me to my core. I don't know why. Before this book, I never really stopped to consider all of the people who weren't Jedi, who were affected so deeply by the Jedi being eradicated. And that quote just really got me thinking about that. Not only is it sad, it's very poetic in the way that the feeling of loss and the mourning for the Jedi also brought people closer to the Jedi, and in this era of rebellion against the Empire, brought ordinary people who otherwise would have never gotten a chance to be a part of the Jedi Order into this state where they were almost pseudo Jedi, if that makes any sense, in the way that they had to step up and become the protectors of their environment and be the ones who were really looking over everything and being there for their planet, their city, wherever it is. And I just think that that is kind of beautiful, but also extremely sad. I love stories like that in Star Wars. I could read 100 of them and never be tired of them. Because even in this like little made up fun galaxy far, far away, we still get these stories of human triumph and the stiffness of the human spirit and this idea that people will keep fighting no matter what as long as they believe in what they're fighting for. That's part of the reason why I love this era specifically in Star Wars so much. The era where the Empire has firmly taken control and the people are starting to realize that they need to fight back or nothing is going to change and it's just going to keep getting worse. I feel like there's a lot to be learned from that era. There are a lot of parallels between what's going on there and what happens in real life, what has happened, what could happen. We know Star Wars has always been very politically minded. George Lucas said it himself. Even though sometimes it's not the most escapist thing, I think that it's still important and it can still help people understand and grasp concepts that are a little bit harsher to think of in the real world, and for that I will be forever grateful for Star Wars. That was pretty heavy, so I'll stop it there. Overall, I loved this book. I'm going to let it sit for a while, and I definitely want to revisit this probably later in the year, maybe after Andor 2 has finished, because this is great material kind of leading into the Andor Rogue One A New Hope wave. It's a little bit longer than I usually like books to be. This took me about 2 weeks to read, although I wasn't really reading a lot of those days. I'd pick it up, read a few pages, and then put it back down, so I feel like I could have gotten through this a lot quicker than I did. It's almost 500 pages, which I guess to some people wouldn't be that long. I'm a pretty firm believer that like 350 is a great length for a book, and anything above that needs to be truly spectacular for me to pick up. And I did really enjoy this one. I thought that it was really good. I do think that it could have been shorter. So this ended up getting a 4-star for me. Like I said, I did really enjoy it. There were parts that I found a little bit slow, especially in probably the middle section of the book where we were kind of leading up to that chapter 40 mark, but the writing was spectacular. The messaging and the plot was really, really cool. It almost made me like Perrin, Mon Mothma's husband, which is crazy because I hate him in Andor, so that's kind of insane. The characterization of all of the characters in this, especially Mon and Bail and Saw, I think was absolutely spot on and made me really feel for them and feel like I knew exactly what was going on with them at any given point, which I always really appreciate. I feel like it's really difficult sometimes with these Star Wars books to really get a good grasp on the character. Alexander Freed has written a couple of Star Wars books, most notably to me being the Rogue One novelization, which you've definitely heard me say before, but is one of my favorite Star Wars books of all time. He just has such a great grasp on the Star Wars universe and can really poeticize, I don't know if that's a word, but make these characters so poetic in a way that I feel like a lot of other authors struggle with. So I really adore his writing, and I will pick up literally any Star Wars book written by him because I know it's always going to be good. That's what I thought about Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear. This is, I believe, going to be a trilogy, or if not, a duality, so I'm very excited for the next book. Let me know literally everything you thought about this book in the comments. I've been scrolling past every video I've seen about this because I didn't want it to be spoiled for me, so if you've read this or if you're planning on reading it, let me know all of the juicy details in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is not something that I usually do, but I thought because this is a new release, I could try this new format. If you enjoy the reading vlogs, if you thought that this was a good time, let me know and I will attempt to do more like this in the future. If there's a Star Wars book you think I should read, let me know that as well, because I am always on the hunt for more Star Wars books. That's all for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to find me other places, or if you'd like to join my random Star Wars book club, you can find all of those links in the comments, and I will see you later.